Hey guys, it's Jimmy here. I'm very excited to present to you our Delegate to Dominate, Empowering Your Fitness Team for Success course. Now, look, what I'm going to be covering for you is how you can delegate with inside your fitness business, identifying key tasks to delegate to your team, making sure you find the right team, setting clear expectations and standards, communication and monitoring progress, feedback and continuous improvement, a few hard lessons, and then your role as a manager. Now, look, your ability to delegate in your fitness business is going to free you up more time to spend with your family, to live life on your terms, but also to do higher value tasks. If you're looking to scale your business, you must be able to delegate effectively. We need to teach you how to set clear expectations, communicate really effectively, and then make sure that you monitor progress. Now, guys, I need to be really honest with you. Delegation is something that I did learn the hard way. There was no course that I did on it when I owned a fitness business. So I'm so excited to share with you a couple of lessons that I've learned along the way, in the hope that it gives you a little bit more freedom. It helps you do the tasks that you absolutely love within your fitness business. I want to see you guys be so successful with inside your lives, with inside your business. And these lessons that I'm going to teach you here today are going to help you delegate at a higher level. So firstly, guys, the importance of delegation in terms of having effective operations is absolutely vital. Okay, you want to be making sure that when you are delegating tasks to your team, that they are being done effectively, that your team are trained really well, and everything is done on time. This is a skill that you're going to have to learn along the way, but by implementing what I teach you here today, you are going to be much better at delegation over the next 12 months. But also as well, like in our fitness business, we broke our checklist down into roles of managers and assistant managers. So if we have a look over at our checklist, so these were like all the tasks that we delegated, from emails, 28-day contact, negative payments, contacting retention members, updating sales portals. And what we did is we had a manager whose role was the overall growth of the business in terms of members and revenue. Then we also had our assistant manager who helped out with the sales and did a lot of retention and also testimonial work. And then we had our coaches who were mainly focused on the running of the gym and a few little bits and pieces. And then obviously really, really focused on retention as well. So when you're delegating tasks, you want to give them to certain roles within your business. And generally the first hire that you will make internally is someone who will actually be an assistant manager to you. So you're the manager right now, you're the leader. The first best hire that I always had was that assistant manager, someone who helped me run the business. And then you start to build on your team off the back of it. But guys, just remember that you need to make sure that all of your team have key performance indicators, right? So that they know that they're being successful within their role. And then when we implement these weekly meetings, which I'm going to talk about, that each staff member should have specific KPIs based on their performance. And also as well, just the importance of these checklists that I'm showing you, which you'll be able to find in the Inner Circle portal. So if you have a look here, as I'm presenting this to you, if we hired you as a coach within our business, right? Obviously there's the sessions that we have to coach on, making sure you're running them, but would be able to map out, I'd be able to know exactly what you need to do today. If today was a Monday, so you need to contact our, Listen 360 members, which are Net Promoter Score, contact the people who no-showed in the AM classes, making sure that you're contacting 15 members that are on your retention list, attend a marketing call, and do our MyZone trial work. And that is just mapped out each day. So look, any repeated tasks that you are doing within your fitness business, you want to make sure that they are in a checklist so that they can be delegated really effectively. And look, when presenting this, I was looking for a few key statistics to kind of help. And this one really popped out for me, one from a Gallup study that said companies that successfully delegate task experience a 33% increase in revenue. 33% increase in revenue. So look, right now, by just implementing this training, and you might have to watch it 4 or 5 times, it's totally cool to do that. And by learning how to delegate, you are going, right, from the study from Gallup, you are going to increase your business by 33%, right? How amazing is that? That is absolutely incredible. But then I always love this quote from Peter Drucker, okay? Delegate everything except genius. And I'm going to put my own little spin on it for you guys here today. I would delegate everything in your fitness business except the things you are absolutely world-class and really love doing. Now, there's certain tasks that are like a bit more expensive to delegate, e.g. like sales is more expensive to delegate than the delivery of your sessions. So look, when you're delegating tasks within your fitness business, you want to make sure that you are mapping out your profit and loss statement so you know what it's going to cost you to delegate in terms of time and staff, and you're just making those really smart decisions. Because sometimes when you delegate things, it can take upwards of 3 months for you to start to get the ROI and the growth. But what I would always look at when delegating is like our memberships were $65 a week. So what I would kind of look at is when we're kind of hiring like a full-time staff member, is what I would map out. I'd always put 20% on top. So I'd be like, look, $1,200 a week. It's going to cost me, to hire this assistant manager in here. Okay. So I'd go, look, do I have $1,200 at the moment? If the answer is no, I'll do 1,200 divided by 65, which is 18 members. And then I'll just ask myself these two questions. Do I need to add the 18 members really quickly to grow? Or will I add these 18 members by delegating these tasks to my assistant manager or trainer? And the answer was always, you've got to back yourself when delegating, especially on the financial side of things, right? But just make sure you know the numbers, because if you go, hey, if I had another 20 members, for example, that I get a full-time coach who's going to run, 8 blocks of classes and they're going to do all these amazing roles to free me up, right? Is then you can just make a simple game plan to add 3 members a week over 6 weeks. And then you're pretty much there and you're covering all of the expenses. But look, when you're identifying tasks to delegate, right, you want to make sure that you're just tracking your daily activities within your business. So if you see this checklist that I'm referencing, these are all the daily tasks that we needed to do. So you're seeing here, clean the bathrooms in the afternoon, right? So when you start to track all the tasks that you're doing, then you can start to build out your operations checklist. And when you're building out your checklist to delegate, it's really important that you have all the repeated tasks that you're doing on your checklist, because quite often in your fitness business, what you're going to do is build up tasks for yourself, build the systems, and then pass them on to someone else. So you're essentially going to be creating roles at the first part of your business to pass on to someone else. But then what you can do once you're tracking is you're going to be it's going to be very simple for you to focus on the tasks that can be delegated to be improving the efficiency of your business. So a lot of the things you can delegate in terms of like internal work is in here. And then also as well, like within the marketing plan, you'd be able to delegate about 95% of your marketing plan to a virtual assistant. And that's what a lot of people do as well initially, because when you hire a virtual assistant is you can get VAs for like $200 to $400 a week, right? Which is about a 50% discount in comparison to hiring someone internally. So that's where you really just want to potentially make sure you're working with a one-on-one business coach, or if you're not working with one at the moment, definitely hiring a business coach to be able to kind of look through your expenses, what you need to delegate, and just make sure that you're doing it really, really effectively. But what we're always looking for when we're looking for a few tips on what to delegate, guys, is you're looking for tasks that are time consuming, but they don't require unique expertise. Okay, so pretty much when you're running is a lot of the admin, a lot of the delivery of sessions and things like that are usually the first few tasks that you can delegate. Then you've obviously got the specialty stuff, like making sure you have cleaners and things like that down the line. But then you want to just consider, right, what tasks can be done more efficiently or more effectively by someone else, right? And in your fitness business at the moment, guys, you're thinking of probably 1,000 different things every single week. And I know that you're a superhuman and you're an absolute beast. But also one of the things I do know is when you're thinking of 500 different things or 1,000 different things every week, is sometimes things get forgotten, right? And that's why in your companies, when you have tasks that you are delegating and you're really managing someone to make sure that they do them really well, that is going to help your business level up and your business will run more efficiently and more effectively. Okay, and then you just always want to make sure that the tasks you're given are systemized and standardized for easy delegation. Okay, some things, if we have a look over here, right, is saying Listen 360 contact or admin, you want to have the replies that are really, really common and have videos on how to do it. Again, you would have what text that you send for people when they no-show to classes, how they contact no-show members, videos on how they do any trial work, So you want to make sure you either have videos or documentation on how to do everything. We definitely preferred videos. You can use the camcorder method, a little bit like what I'm doing for you guys here today, is I'm turning delegation into a system, right, for my business that I run. So it's a training that you can watch. You might be watching this 1 year, 2 years after I made it, right? And that would save us a time of like meeting you in a one-on-one environment to train you. So when you're delegating, guys, using video like camcorder or Zoom or Loom or however you want to do it, just makes delegation a lot easier. Okay, but one of the things, guys, you got to make sure you find the right staff members. Okay, really, really important. You need to get to know your staff members, know their strengths, know their weaknesses, know their goals, right? Because often when you're delegating, it's giving them a chance to do an increased role where potentially they might get paid more, they might get status within the business, but just that you understand your staff's like strengths and weaknesses. But also as well, just clearly explaining their roles and responsibilities. Okay, you need to explain the importance of each role. Okay, so if we go over in here, right, what is the importance of posting a technical video every Tuesday in our internal Facebook group? So hey, when we want to educate, inspire our clients to get better results and to move better, this is going to empower them to train more and get better results. So every task that you do, you must align it with like a deep reason of why it's really important to the company, to the business, and what benefits it has, but also just explaining that this is a part of their roles and responsibilities. But guys, like, let's be honest, like running a fitness business isn't super complex. I'm sorry if you think it is, but it's not like we need rocket scientists to run a fitness business. When you're looking to hire the right staff, you want to make sure they have the right mindset, that they're open to training, and that they take action on what you teach them, right? Because you'd be able to teach anyone anything. We had coaches who were 18, who were some of our best coaches, right? We had some coaches who were like 45, 50, nothing against them. They just weren't open to learning and training and taking action. So if you can get someone with the right mindset, they're open to staff training and upskilling, right? And they're also willing to take action, you will have really amazing staff. But a couple of signs that you have great staff, just so you can look for it in the future, because it is important in delegation, is just that they take initiative and they're constantly looking for ways to improve processes, right? If they're coming to you with ways to improve sessions and things like that, always be really open to it and always really harness that. But also as well, they've got to be open to feedback and eager to learn and grow. Okay, you want them to be attending your trainings. You want them to be growing and upskilling in their professional and personal life. And of course, we want them to have a strong work ethic and be committed to success of the business. Okay, you want to make sure that you're harnessing your staff, that they know the vision of the business, and that they really want to see themselves and the business succeed. Also, that they've got good communication skills, that they're able to communicate with you really well, right? That they're very like easy and simple to deal with, but they also need to be adaptable to change, because you're going to be changing things within your checklist along the way, where they might need to cover someone else's role or something like that. And if your staff are more open to change and they handle change really well, it just makes them really easy to work with. Now, guys, we need to make sure that we set clear expectations and standards when you are delegating. So you need to explain the importance of each task and why it needs to be done and what positive effect it has on the business. Okay, because that attaches an emotional connection to tasks. And some of them are like, you know, why do I need to clean the bathrooms? And explaining the importance of that and how it could affect 50, 100, 150 people a day if it's not done correctly, helps them just understand why you are giving them this task. You must provide them with training, videos, and documentation on how to complete tasks. So what we would quite often do is when we had checklist builders, we were building them, is we would work with staff members for up to a month to train them effectively. So like the first week, I would do the task with them while they watched. Then the second week, they would do the task while I watch. And if I needed to make some trainings along the way, I would. Then the third week, I would make sure that they did the trainings and I'd check that they did it. And then by the fourth week, we would have delegated effectively. And that is the right training. But also, guys, you are going to be busy. So a question that we're asking you when delegating, right, is just imagine down in here, they need to do the cancel calls, right? So you have 2 canceled members and they kind of forgot how to do it. They maybe didn't find the script. right? Where is your documentation on that so that they can watch some trainings on how to run the cancel calls effectively, how the script is, what they can do to upsell, downsell, cross-sell people. So you want to make sure that you do have trainings. And a big goal for you guys in your fitness business long-term would to be have a portal like the Inner Circle one that you guys have access to for your fitness business. But definitely as well, you will need some times where there's documentation, written words, logins, and things like that. And then, guys, you just need to ensure that your staff understand and adhere to your expectations and standards. You need to let them know that you're going to be keeping them accountable. You need to let them know that you're going to be checking on these tasks and the importance of them and what to do if they aren't completing the task so that everything gets done. But when we talk about the communication and monitoring progress, we would have like a weekly one-on-one meeting with our staff. Within like the one-on-one meetings, what we would kind of cover if we go into our meeting agendas over in here, what would cover in the weekly one-on-one meeting is in here, right? Are you completing your Asana tasks and checklist? So sometimes you'll delegate tasks to like Asana that isn't on the checklist. And that would be the first thing that we'll talk to them about. Would look over their checklist, make sure everything's done, would be doing spot checks to make sure that everything's being done really effectively. And then we'd also have some regular check-ins. So we'd be communicating with our staff on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just to see how they're going. And as our company got bigger, this was mainly for our gym that was doing over 7 figures a year, is we would run morning huddles for like 15 minutes. And in that morning huddle, we'll talk about what went well for this morning, what didn't, and is everyone on track to do their checklist and needed tasks. So there was a lot of accountability, a lot of check-in, right? Because in these like checklist, guys, once you do have it running in time, you might be delegating 100 to 150 tasks. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you're communicating with your team really well. And we mainly just use Google Drive to like track tasks and Asana. We didn't use anything like overly complex or expensive. The Google Drive checklist was more than suffice for us. Now, when you're delegating tasks, guys, you want to make sure that you get feedback and continuous improvement. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're leveling up your staff and they're actually getting better at their role. Okay, so it's really important that you develop the ability to give them positive and negative feedback. Okay, they're not going to do everything perfectly. Okay, you want to make sure that you pat them on the back when they do a good job, but you're also able to pull them in line when they aren't completing tasks effectively or as efficiently as you like. And you want to really encourage your staff to improve and grow in their roles. We would provide training for them internally. We'll do like 30 minutes of upskilling a week. And then if they needed to, we would send them to external trainings and things like that as well. You want to really help them grow in their role. You want to really help them grow in their role as a leader. And if you think about just like this training that you're watching here today, is you've just like leveled yourself up. We want to look at how is your staff also leveling themselves up and have strategic plans for each specific staff member. And guys, just make sure you're constantly evaluating and adjusting your strategies. Okay, so making sure that you're working with the team, that everything's working really smoothly. And if one strategy doesn't work to delegating, being really open to change. And guys, some of the like toughest lessons that I had to share with you guys on delegation is when I first started to delegate, what I thought would happen is I'm like, oh, hey, like I'd give Johnny this assistant manager checklist and he's going to do it perfectly every single day of the week without deviation. And what I didn't realize is as soon as you delegate a task to someone else, whether it's a VA, whether it's an internal staff member, is you automatically become a manager and a leader, right? So you've automatically leveled up. You've gone from doing the work to a manager, which means you must level up your management skills and also your leadership skills as well. And guys, you've got to keep your staff accountable for the delegated tasks. You can't let anything slip through. So we would make sure that we had those structured meetings that we're checking everything's done really effectively. And also you need to overcome the challenges in the delegation process. Nothing runs as smoothly as I told you here today. Sometimes you might give a task and the trainings aren't perfect. You've got to redo them again. As a leader and manager, you'll just do it, right? Also as well, sometimes you might give a task and you mightn't have trained them effectively, right? That's when you're communicating with your team, go, hey, Jimmy, this task I've given you, are you confident to do it without me or do you need any extra help? And a really great manager and leader goes above and beyond for their team to make sure that they are winning with their role, that they're trained effectively, they're being constantly like upskilled, and that you're working with them for any challenges or obstacles that are popping up. And then, guys, we're going to finish off with the role of management in delegation. Okay, it's really, really important, right, that you have effective management structures in delegation. As soon as you delegate, just know that you've just become a manager within a business. You are now a manager as soon as you have given tasks. You want to make sure that you're keeping your staff accountable. Simple as a weekly meeting, make sure you're checking in on them. We used to have a term in our business where we didn't have a CEO in our business. We had a CRO, a Chief Reminder Officer, to make sure that everything is getting done. And just make sure that you're providing the support and guidance for staff as needed. Right. And I wanted to just share with you guys finally just 5 ways to be a really amazing manager when delegating staff to your team. You've got to make sure that you communicate, right, with expectations and deadlines. Really, really important that you level up your communication skills with your team and you can communicate very effectively. Right. Make sure you provide the necessary resources for your staff to complete the tasks. Right. And be willing to update those trainings along the way when you need to. You want to make sure that if you're not around for whatever reason, that someone can bring up a video on how to fill out the meeting agenda and that they are able to do that effectively without you there. And that's what we call documenting your journey, which is a very important part in delegation. Make sure you're checking in regularly, right, on the progress and offer guidance as needed. You are their business coach, you are their life coach, you are their mentor. You are a leader and manager within your business now, and you want to make sure that you help your staff dominate. And guys, just make sure you encourage open communication and be approachable for questions. Your staff are going to have issues along the way, and that's totally okay. You want to create clear lines of communication with them and just make sure that you are approachable so that you can answer any of their concerns, because the more that you help your staff win, the more your business wins, especially when we review back on by delegating effectively, you're going to grow your business by 33%, right? So you want to make sure that you have adequate time, right? And you're a really great manager and you're approachable and you do answer their questions. And guys, just make sure you recognize and celebrate the successes of your team, right? If they're doing their tasks, make sure you pump them up. Make sure that you make them feel appreciated. A thank you in life goes a really long way, especially when there's going to be times, guys, when you are going to have to hold them to account and pull them into line, maybe give them some negative feedback. Is you want to make sure that you are recognizing and celebrating all the amazing work that your team are doing, right, in growing your business and helping your business run more effectively. So guys, I hope you got an absolute ton of value from this course. I hope that it upskilled you in terms of being able to delegate, where you have a better understanding now. Any questions that you guys do have, feel free to reach out to us in our Facebook groups at any time.